Now we'll start working all this foliage on the trees up here. Now if the light is coming in like this, as I previously suggested, we're going to have some brighter greens up in this area, which are the nice pretty spring greens. That's the permanent yellow lemon and cyan blue combination. As we get further down the tree, where the light is blocked by the trees, we're going to start getting a little bit darker. So we'll start putting more blue in the mix. Now watch how this darker shadowed green looks against this pretty background tree back here. It really kind of stands out. So I'm looking for different ways to alter the values in these pieces, in these trees, to make the piece a little bit more enticing, a little bit more colorful, give a little bit more of a suggestion of strong sunlight. And of course, vary the shapes. Don't make it all too symmetrical. In this particular painting, there's a lot of foliage. So we're going to really see if we can't accentuate that against these nice, pretty lighter areas in the background. And this bristle brush does a wonderful job of putting the color in, softening a few edges, and building up some nice, rich, deep color. We're not going to see any sky in this piece because the trees are so big they're blocking any view of the sky. And the paper's still staying pretty wet, which is good. That gives us more time to go in there and work on some other greens. And I'm trying to vary the greens. Like I said, we don't want this whole thing to be just one flat shade of green. Let's just get in there and kind of play a little bit with it, give it some a little bit more dimension. By some of the greens are lighter, some are darker, some are more on the brown side, some are more on the yellow or blue side. It's all about making it flow together. Now, if you've got that much sunlight out here, you have a lot of shade up under this tree. So let's see if we can't work on that a little bit. And I'm going to use the bristle brush for that, because the bristle brush lays a lot of color in very quickly. So again, I'm using the permanent yellow lemon. I'm putting some cyan blue in it. And I'm putting some of the brown. This is the brown steel to gray. It makes a very, very rich, deep, dark green. It has a little bit of an earthy green. So let's see if we can't put some of that right in here. And again, look how rich that is next to that white in the background. This is what's going to really make this painting sing, I think, these very rich greens. So I put a little bit of color in, take a damp brush, do a little soft blending, and come back and put some more color. Take it in steps, don't try to do too much too quickly. All this is just grassy shapes. And that brush also makes a wonderful grass. See that pretty grass sticking up right there? I'm laying that brush almost horizontal to the paper, just very lightly pulling it up. It just gives me a beautiful grassy shape. And again, come in and just soften a few edges. In fact, I'm going to just really darken this area down here a lot. One of the reasons I like to darken the bottom of my paintings is because when I put a white mat on these, or a clean mat, that rich dark along the bottom just makes the painting glow. It really makes the mat pull the color out of the painting and pulls out those beautiful darks. It makes a big, big difference. And I'm going to show you a little trick toward the end of this painting, which we can do down here in this dark grass. It's going to really make this painting pop. It's too soon to do it now, but I will show you before this piece is finished. It's a little trick I learned a long time ago that I do quite often in my landscapes, and it gives a piece a lot of interest. This area back here is very nondescript. We've got to do something back here in this little edge of the meadow where the trees are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to suggest a few trees back there as negative shapes. Now remember, a negative shape is you actually use this as the color of the tree trunk and you paint dark around it, as you'll see in just a second. But I've got to remember that with this much sunlight coming into this painting, these trees are going to be darker at the bottom because there's a lot of shade. So let's have a blending brush ready to go. I've got my 1-inch stiff bristle brush clean. And again, I've got that Kleenex and I'm squeezing the excess water out of it. Let's take some of that nice, cool kind of a bluish green mix and suggest a few indications of trees that are along the back of the meadow. You just see just a little negative tree trunk right there. And this whole painting at this stage is going to be just little things like this, just to kind of dress up the shapes, give it more definition. I'm not really trying to paint a tree per se, as much as just create shapes that help define where the meadow stops and the tree line begins. It's a very simple little suggestion, but people will interpret that right away as being the edge of the meadow. It doesn't take a whole lot, just a few. Some can be darker. And very lightly soften that top edge. So now we see a few suggestions of trees that kind of define the edge. Let's put a couple back here. It's these little suggestions of things that make a painting strong.